Go Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
So I got a message from Peyton.
From Nashville? By any chance?
No, I don't. Well,
That's the one Peyton I know.
You know what? I think that's Peyton from Nashville. I actually do. Yeah.
There you go.
So Peyton messaged me, and he's like, Hey, Adam, I heard...
What, Jesse?
No.
Do you have something to say?
No, go ahead, guys.
Long divide something, Steve.
7 divided by 3 is...
You can't do that. You can't give yourself the question.
You're
Yeah.
right, I literally can't.
Also, 7 divided by 3 would be in the decimal points, and that's a whole different area. I don't know why you went there.
What did Peyton say?
Peyton said, Hey, Adam,
What is Peyton's views on Dragon Ball Z?
I heard your show opener last show, and I just wanted to throw something at you.
Oh, no.
How about Arriva Berchi?
Oh!
Every time Sven Berchi scores, Arriva Berchi, right? Right? Like Mona Niemi.
I get it.
Yeah?
I got it.
Anyway, Peyton, round of applause. You're a scholar and a gentleman.
I'm
so
not
proud of you.
applauding that.
No, I'm clapping for that.
Absolutely not.
Hey, there's a couple things we need to talk about today.
What?
Babcocks has contacted us. Did you know what they're doing?
Movember Babcocks?
They are.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, do you want to give some away on the show?
I do, and I also want to give you yours that they sent me, and you yours that they sent me, and I have even had them in this studio several times in my backpack and forgotten to give them to you. This is probably the 5th or 6th straight show I've forgotten to give you those.
So I was talking to...
Where are they right now?
They're in my room or something. I don't know.
Nice, eh?
Yeah.
I was talking to Tom yesterday, and we've been talking for a couple weeks, and I've been meaning to do this since the beginning of November, but do you know what they're doing for Movember?
They tried to explain it to me once, but that was a long time ago, and I forget
It's pretty insane, so I think we should go through this.
Okay,
so they've teamed up with Mike Babcock and Movember and the GTHL, which I played in.
Man, follow your dreams. They sell Babcocks in the ACC at Leaf games.
Yeah,
That's
seriously.
crazy.
They took a guy's face, put it on a cartoon, and put it on a sock, and there it is.
And I thought it would get shut down like right away. Like,
Yeah.
they can't just use his face. And they sell him at Leaf games.
And they're working with Mike on this. And this
Crazy.
is what's so interesting. So they want to raise money to support mental health programs for minor athletes. Each team in the GTHL is engaging in some friendly competition off the ice using limited edition Movember Babcocks, which Steve apparently is going to give us. It's a fundraiser. So they're selling these as like a fundraising tool. Okay. Raise awareness, promote mental health conversations. This is the best part. The winning team will win a team practice coached by Mike Babcock. And when Tom was talking to me, this is the best.
Whoa.
Tom was talking to me, and so they reach out to Mike, and they're thinking, okay, there's no way Mike Babcock says yes to this. Like, he's been good enough about us using his image on the socks and that sort of thing. There's no way he says yes to this. Mike loves the idea, and he loves it so much that he's like, well, we're not going to do it unless the rest of the Leafs training staff and coaches are there too.
Wow.
So all of the Leafs coaches are going to be there imagine you're 12 years old and Mike Babcock coaches your practice. I get goosebumps thinking about that. How cool
crazy.
is that?
That's really cool. And it's extra cool that it was his idea.
Yeah.
Or at least that part of it, right?
So basically, we were hoping that you could send us some pictures of you doing. It doesn't really matter. I think the idea is, Tom and Jake from Babcocks, they've donated some Babcocks for us to give away. Not the ones Steve has, but we're actually going to get some more. And we want to send. We want you to send the best photo of yourself as a minor athlete. So we're talking about your house league cards, and it doesn't matter. Like, if you didn't play any sports, Photoshop yourself onto a picture and make it hilarious. If you played a different sport, like Jesse, you played baseball. Throw up your baseball card or throw up your baseball picture. We used to get hockey pins that our parents could wear to the game, and I threw mine out before my parents could touch them. Because I was like
a pin with you on it.
Yeah, so it was a part of the thing. So you get like
mortifying.
You get hockey cards. You'd get it would be like school day +2, and then there were parents there with these big buttons with their kids' faces on them, so you could know which kids to murder out there.
What? You make fun of that, but in like 5 years, that's going to be you.
I would never wear my kid's pin. I would never embarrass my kid that way.
It's in 5 years.
10, 5 years.
10, 5 years.
10 to 70 years.
Whatever it happens to be, which will be kind of soon, I assume.
I'll put away my Charlie and Iggy pins
Exactly.
and get my Steve and Mrs. Dangle Jr. pins.
Look at how much you show off your dogs.
Oh, no.
It's gonna
No,
be
I
the
don't
same
want
with
to
your
do that.
kids.
It's mortifying to the kid. My parents would have never done that, coming to my soccer games and stuff. They'd be like, go Steve, and the minute the game starts, go Team Red.
My parents would have been
That our
like,
son happens to be a part of. Holy shit, he's their worst player.
my parents were like, here's how you played bad. That was every game after the game. Here's how you played bad.
Here's how you played bad.
And it wasn't like a mean thing. It wasn't like, I hate you because you played bad. It's, you need to get better, and I'm not going to praise you. So get
I always
better.
you look like you were trying out there.
That's awesome. So, okay.
I always tried.
So, tag at Steve Dangle, at Babcocks, at Jesse Blake, at Adam Wild. It all counts, but you have to tag at Babcocks for your chance to win a free pair of socks. I think we've got up to 10, potentially 15 pairs of limited edition Mike Babcocks to give away.
Man, that's
Mike Babcocks.
It's like 7 or 8 times the amount of socks I have stashed away in my house.
I have so
for
many,
you
and I have so
guys.
many versions of Babcocks. I'm gonna wear them for my wedding.
I have the originals, the blue ones, the white ones, the Movember ones, the Canada ones. Yeah, I have at least 5 pairs of Babcocks.
Do you think they would do like groomsmen Babcocks for my wedding?
100%.
so
They
we could
probably
all-
already have something like that.
So we could all just do like a wedding thing. Maybe Mike Babcock with a veil on. Right? How good would that be? I hope Tom and Jake are listening. Anyway, tweet us your minor athlete photo, just you when you were younger playing sports. That's what we want to see. And it's got to be the post one.
That was he could have gone all over the board and he went, how about this?
So, stop me if you've heard this question before. But do the Calgary Flames have a goaltending issue?
Wow. No, I think Eddie Lack has a goaltending issue because I went to bat for him pretty hard last year when Bill Peters was giving him the gears and he had those really bad numbers. But, oh, wow. Wow. When you're a backup, you just don't get that many opportunities to prove yourself.
Right.
And you become a bad goalie pretty quick. And it's kind of hard to defend Eddie Lack these days, isn't it? What are his numbers this year?
So that was my question: was he that bad, or were the Flames that bad around him?
I mean, it's like I said before, you need your goalie to make a save. Like the first half of the Leafs-Kings game where the Kings got up 5-0, Leafs ended up making it 5-3, whatever. The Leafs were terrible. That was one of their worst games of the season. But McElhinney was also terrible. He wasn't immune from the terrible. They were terrible.
He was a part of the terrible.
Part of the terrible. They were terrible around him. He was terrible, terrible, terrible. What do we got, Jesse?
Eddie Lack this year in 4 games.
4 games, but
Hard sample size. Very hard.
His goals against average, which you guys don't like, is 5.29.
Holy mackerel. Wow.
But his save percentage definitely helps.
Yeah?
It's 8.13.
No.
Which
No.
is terrible. Yeah, he's
Wow.
an 8.13.
What was he last year, though?
Last year he didn't play very much. He only played 19 games with the Hurricanes.
Say it
I think
again.
he had injuries.
8-15?
8.13 right now in 4 games.
Poor
He's only played 136 minutes. But
Yeah.
still.
Yeah,
Man,
that's
that
bad.
sucks.
Yeah. Last year he was 9.02 with the Hurricanes in 19 games.
That's still pretty bad.
Eddie Lack's never had a great year.
What do we got?
For his career, his highest save percentage is a 9.21 in 41 games for Vancouver, which is
Right.
pretty
That's
good.
very good.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
supposed to supplant Roberto Luongo there. That was it was like him and Markstrom.
Yeah, but since then, since he went to Carolina, it's been a 9.01, 9.02, and then 8.13 this year. So
I think they acquired Eddie Lack for the same reason they acquired Scott Darling. They thought maybe there was something there, and it seems like with Scott Darling there is.
Yeah. I would be curious to know if Carolina's changed their goalie coach at any point because they had bad goaltending for a long time. And Cam Ward never really got back his past brilliance. Maybe 1 or 2 seasons. Holy cow.
That's bad.
Wow. 8-13.
That's really bad. Now, here's the question. He's played 4 games already. We're about the 20-game mark for most teams. Like, the Leafs are heading into their 20th game of the
Calgary,
season
I think, has
tonight.
played 18.
Are you going to play 35-year-old Mike Smith 70 times this year?
Well, he's injured. This is the problem. This is the huge problem for Calgary, right? So the answer is no, you literally can't. Gillies was in relief. Who's the guy in the ECHL they got too? Parsons?
I think so.
I want to say Calgary has guys for the future, for sure. And Mike Smith, I think, has been good when he was healthy. I don't know his numbers, but wowzers. Yeah, you need a better backup goalie than that. You know what's funny is we talked, I don't know, like last year or something like that about how goalies are dirt cheap. They probably shouldn't be anymore.
Well,
for a while,
I don't know why
there
they
was
ever
so
were.
much-
That's the weird part for me.
I think it's because
why.
everyone kind of had at least decent-ish goaltending, and there was some parity going on there. No one really needed a goalie, but look around the league. There's a bunch of teams that need a goalie.
Are there not 30 NHL quality goaltenders in the NHL?
There are. The problem is there need to be 60, right?
And you need to spread them evenly.
I'm trying to think of teams with situations where if their starter got hurt, they'd be relatively okay still.
I don't
There's
know.
not as many as we once thought. I'm
Florida?
going through it. I'm like, Chicago.
Florida?
Florida. Yeah, Florida would be fine.
Florida would just be whatever Florida is.
I
don't know if Florida's
what they were last year when
they-
Luongo went down. They were
Exactly.
fine with
Yeah.
that.
They already have Luongo and Reimer kind of splitting.
Yeah.
That
But,
doesn't mean they're superstars, or it doesn't mean Florida's a superstar team, even though I feel like they still should be.
Huberdeau's doing well. Mrs. Dangle just got him in the pool.
I mean, my point is that Florida will remain Florida. But who else?
Not a lot. There's not a ton.
Do you, if you're Calgary, you've already, I mean, I think they already had talks with the Coyotes last year about Mike Smith before they got Mike Smith.
Okay.
Do you call them about Antti Ranta? And say your season?
No, well, if I'm the Coyotes, I wouldn't give him. I wouldn't give him to you. Well, one, he's hurt, but two, is anyone going to those games? I'd be curious to know what Arizona's attendance has been this season. Dude,
There's some things
20
about
games.
Arizona to hit, but
yeah, 20 games, they haven't won a game in regulation yet, which I think we sort of touched on last show.
we did.
And then that became a bigger
Then
thing.
they set the record, yeah.
That's
You
unbelievable.
know, I also wonder, I'm looking at Florida right now. They're 6-9.
Call the Leafs.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Florida is 6-9-2, and Elliot did suggest that last night. Florida is 6-9-2 in 17 games. They are sitting second to last, only ahead of the Sabres in the Eastern Conference.
It's also a very even league right now.
When does Roberto Luongo come back? He's injured, isn't he?
This I don't know. I found the injuries hard to keep up with this
Oh my
year.
God, it's impossible. It's so hard.
Are there more? I think
You know
I saw
what?
a chart where
You know what
there's
I
more.
really like? A website where it just talks about the injuries.
There is actually a website called Man Games Lost.
But does it talk about when they're projected to come back?
That I'm not sure.
That would be really
Daily
nice.
Face-Off might have that.
Okay, we'll have a look. Because as soon as
Luongo was not injured. He played last on the 14th.
Oh, we did. Okay, so
Also, follow beat reporters. Beat reporters are very good at being on top of
following
that stuff.
beat reporters for 30 different teams means you're following like 90 or 100 different
I
people.
keep forgetting that I have a weird Twitter.
Also, hockey
I follow
reference,
too many people.
The hockey reference is my go-to.
For injuries.
Yeah, because then you could just look and see to see if somebody's injured, just go look at their last 5 games, see if they played recently.
Oh.
That's what I did for Luongo.
Yeah, but that doesn't help you for figuring out when they're going to be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who cares?
So
We do. That's what we're trying to figure out,
exactly
Jesse.
what I'm trying to
Very
figure out.
difficult.
You are being difficult. You're wearing a Hyman jersey right now.
I don't know why. I mean, there's a pre-existing relationship, obviously, between Brian Burke and James Reimer.
No, I think the Panthers like that.
Or, I mean, of course, the Panthers like that. Or do you see if Roberto Luongo's available, and if they're willing to retain salary? Because here's the thing: it's probably. I mean, we could be wrong. They could turn it around.
It'd be like the Rob Scuderia goalies. It'd be like double retention.
We are a quarter of the way, basically, through the NHL season, where we will be.
Yeah,
Very soon.
we're not quite there yet.
Well, Pittsburgh is 20 games. Okay. Florida's at 17. Do you look at that and kind of go, okay, well, I mean, maybe Roberto Luongo isn't Roberto Luongo anymore, but if we can get him for a certain price, this is very clearly a Calgary team that is expecting to win this year, and depending upon how long Mike Smith is out, kind of an important thing. kind of something you need. And if Mike Smith goes down, and now that gives you two very old goaltenders. However, it still gives you some pretty solid front to back. And then you send Eddie Lack down, let him figure out his game, and then go from there.
So Gillies is with the Flames on an emergency recall. And Leah Flame, one of my favorite fan follows, she was talking about how Gillies being on emergency recall actually makes her feel better because the Flames wouldn't need him if I think it was the Flames wouldn't need him if they had put Mike Smith on the IR, which they have not yet, meaning he'll probably come back soon. So the Flames' troubles in net are probably not that serious.
But again, you're going to play Mike Smith in 85, 90% of your remaining games. That's the question they're going to have to answer now.
Well, at some point, you're going to have to go Smith Gillies or something.
Yeah.
At some point, man. The Leafs, can I throw something out there? And yes, I'm making everything about the Leafs. You know who's played all right in 3 games? Except for the one game where he was very bad.
2 of 3 games?
Curtis McElhinney.
He has played all right.
I wonder if the Leafs get a call at Curtis McElhinney. Hey, we want Calvin Pickard. Nope. We want Garrett Sparks. Nope. But we will give you Curtis McElhinney. Or if you're the Leafs, you look around the league, see what's going on, you sit. You sit on that strength. Leafs don't have to help out anybody.
Why would you?
I don't know. We've talked about it. Oh, the Leafs could help out the Oilers by trading them this guy, or they could help out this team by trading. No, sit on it. Sit on it. It's goaltending, I think, is about to get very expensive, which, by the way, I'm going to throw it out there. Leafs got Pickard for a
6th and Tobias Lindbergh.
Yeah, like a bottom 6th healthy scratch prospect and a 6th-round pick. Man, what a few weeks does to your season. Pickard was on waivers. No one claimed him.
Imagine that the Vegas Golden Knights had just kept them. They would be.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel for them kind of because how can you predict? You couldn't possibly predict you're going to lose 4 goalies.
And you know what? I don't feel bad for them because they've done okay. They've done pretty good. They had a good start.
They haven't done okay lately.
Well, no, but nobody expected them to. I just think, the fact that they sit 5th in the Western Conference right now is not a bad start.
Hey, stock up those points. I tweeted, is Maxim Lagacé saving the Vegas Golden Knights season? Like, they needed to be bad at some point. Like, they got to trade off all these guys. Like, it's funny. I think it was Kipper. They, a couple of weeks ago, they were talking about our team's calling about James Neal. Like, if the Vegas Golden Knights stay good, are they going to sell off all these guys?
Yep.
And he goes, well, they're going to stick to the plan. And it's very easy to say that. If Vegas is like a top 10 team in the league and in a playoff spot come March, as if.
Yeah.
You don't think they're going to sell James Neal?
No GM can help them.
Do you think that they would re-sign James Neal too?
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Hell
man.
yeah. Like
they're going to be like Colorado. It's going to be great. They're going to have one great year.
But that's okay for Vegas because they're an expansion team and they shouldn't be anywhere near a playoff spot.
Has any expansion team ever made the playoffs first season? I'm sure it's happened.
I mean, maybe back when it went from 6 to 12 teams.
And the Florida Panthers, was that their first year when John Van Beesbrook and the Panthers went?
No, that was at least 2 or 3 years. I know what you're talking about, though.
When they made the finals against
They usually stink. The Thrashers stunk. The Blue Jackets stunk. The Wild stunk.
Senators stunk.
Senators stunk.
Predators stunk. It was
Predators stunk.
I don't know. I just think it'd be like it's going to be modern era. I think it's unprecedented.
Yeah. Their start has been.
And by the way, I don't count post 67 as the modern era anymore. There are many people who do, but no.
This has been the frustrating thing about writing about. Like I've done a lot of all-time writing this season. Looking at anything like before the 67 expansion, or like even anything before 1985 is extremely frustrating because the numbers were just so out of whack. So crazily out of whack.
Do you guys want the expansion franchise stats?
Yeah.
The Florida Panthers, the best expansion franchise in NHL history.
There you go.
Finished 1 point back of a playoff spot.
Wow. Hey.
They finished with 83 points in the 93-94 season.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Incredibly
By the way,
Yeah.
you only needed 83 points to make the playoffs back then.
Well, 84, I guess.
84.
Wow.
The best expansion franchise out of the 4 major sports was probably the 66-67 Chicago Bulls, who made the playoffs.
Good for them.
And they lost in the first round. They got swept. They got swept in 3 games by the St. Louis Hawks. There you go.
That's a team that existed. There's a team name I've never heard before.
I wonder how many people were confused when we had Dennis Marukin and they're like, so you played for the California Seals and then the Cleveland Barons. And, like we're making shit up. Like, what league is that?
It is a little weird to see Cleveland and California. That's a big place.
At least I wasn't on the Kansas City Scouts.
The worst, on the other end of the spectrum, the worst expansion franchise is the Washington Capitals, 74-75, who had 8 wins, 67 losses, and 5 ties.
I wonder if the 91-92 Senators, or whenever they came in, or was it 92-93? Whenever they came in, I wonder if they got to win 8, and they were like, oh, okay, at least we're tied for worst.
Not the worst. Not the worst.
And the 9th, they were like, yeah, 9 wins, baby.
As long as you're not the worst.
Yeah.
As long as you're not record-breakingly bad. I feel like I took us very far away from the Calgary Flames.
Well, I know what you guys want to talk about, the fights last night.
I do.
One more.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
The worst ever across all 4 sports is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 76 in the NFL, who did not win a game.
I was about to
They
say,
went 0-14.
like, to be the worst in the NFL, you might as well not win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's funny. Eh? It does happen. Like the no wins. Like the Cleveland Browns might do it this year.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And they're not expansion. They're just bad.
I think the Cleveland Browns haven't won a game on a Sunday since I think it's 2015. Because they've only won, I think, 3 games.
And they've all been Thursday
Thursday
nighters?
years, and 2 of them have been on Mondays, and 1 was on a Saturday.
Oh my
So just
God.
the date, it's just so weird. The franchise is just the worst
Cleveland
franchise
Browns
ever.
fans, if you listen, what do you do?
I'm so
How do you
It's so
do
bad.
that?
Yeah.
Oilers fans, Leafs fans, anybody that's had Coyotes fans, people who had a rough ride up until recently, at least for us. Coyotes fans are still getting a rough ride. They've literally always had a rough ride. At least the Coyotes have made the playoffs recently.
Yeah, well, and the Leafs,
Like
if you finish last, you'll get like 20 wins at least.
Yeah.
25 wins, maybe even 30.
usually you have 30 nights a year where you're like, hey, all right.
Those, you know what that is? 30 high fives with your best friends. You're at the bar and you went, well, they got this one.
right.
High five. Browns? Nope. None of that.
Get that?
Unyielding sorrow.
Yeah.
And disappointment.
And the thing is that when you're packed into a stadium, it's not just you, it's 55 to 60,000 other people who feel the exact same way you do. And the Browns fans are the most intense in the league.
Yeah, they sell
They're
out every
amazing.
game.
They're amazing fans.
You drive home in post-NFL game traffic, and everyone to your left, right, and front and back of you is sad. The whole city is sad. Like, I don't get it.
And they do that 8 times every year. Every single year.
Yeah. Imagine you go to an away game. So then you're
As
surrounded by asshole Steeler fans.
But like,
who are
there's-
like, okay, we knew you were going to win.
Do opposing fans even give you shit?
Oh, yeah.
Why? Why? That's so cruel.
Because Cleveland and Pittsburgh have a rivalry that goes on forever.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No,
It's not a
they don't.
rivalry.
No, there's a difference between having a rivalry and not liking each other. They don't like each other. There's no rivalry.
It's like nobody from Pennsylvania is very rude, so they're all kind of like, oh, you guys keep losing games. It's a little passive aggressive. It's not like Philly where it's like, hey, fuck you and your team.
Here's the snowball, dick.
I peed on it.
Yeah, literally.
So yeah, no, I don't know how we got here, but you guys do want to talk about the there's one thing I want to quickly mention before we get to the fighting, which is, remember 2 days ago on this podcast where I mentioned that the Flames scored 5 goals against the Western Conference leading team in the 3rd period?
Oh, yeah.
How the hell do they go from that to just blowing up against Detroit? Like, it's so, the NHL is so crazy that way, isn't it?
Easy.
And that's not the Flames. That can happen to anybody.
I've had to go back and look at how the Leafs did last season a few times. And that was also just like, it was a fascinating season. Like, I encourage you all to go back and look at the schedule and the crazy spikes of up and down.
And follow 100 Beat reporters on Twitter.
Yeah, 100,000.
Everyone does
Follow
YouTube for a living.
Follow everyone from every team.
I think they won 2 games in October. Then they had like back to back emotional wins. I think they were all over like Western Canadian teams. There was that McDavid overtime game where Kadri scored. There was the crazy Brawl game against Vancouver. you know what it was? It was the Brawl game against Vancouver. And then the very next game with the Leafs riding high, 7-0 loss to the Kings. They got killed.
Just emotionally exhausted, maybe.
The return of the Leafs to Vancouver, the revenge game where they played them in Vancouver, that was very disappointing.
You were there, weren't you?
Yeah, I
they
was
lost.
there. And
Oh,
it wasn't this big brawl that was supposed to happen. It wasn't that tense or anything. It was okay.
Because
hockey game.
Martin and Gudbranson got it out of the way.
Yeah.
That's not getting it out. That's just
No!
that's just being like, okay, I'm gonna have to fight because I want to, or I don't want to.
But remember the build-up?
Yeah, it wasn't like Domi Probert 2.
Yeah,
Or
at
something
least
like that.
at least last night they genuinely hated each other.
Mm-hmm.
They genuinely hated each other.
Well, here's the discussion.
So Steve and Jesse are going, oh, I gotta watch this fight one more time. All 7 minutes of this. I watched it during.
Oh, I didn't watch all 7 minutes.
You did.
I must see all 7 minutes of T'Chuk spearing, quote unquote, spearing
So he got a spearing penalty for that.
for just a little tap on the back of
That's
the
a
ankle.
joke.
That's a
Steve, you
joke.
got to 5 minutes and 40 seconds before we had to start.
Okay.
I
didn't watch all 7.
I watched at least 3 or 4.
Nearly 6.
If you watched, you saw the commercial break then.
Yes, I did.
How dare you?
Here's the thing. I don't know. Like, I love these brawls. I think they're fun. I know it's dangerous, and I know I shouldn't, but I do really like them.
Yeah, I have. Oh my God!
but
I'm
I'm
gonna
not-
go all over the place when it comes to this fight.
But the thing that I can't understand this morning, and I think it's only due to the fact that there were 2 games last night. The Rangers had their 3 games last night. Yeah. The Rangers there's only 2 games of note last night. Let's just be honest. The Rangers had their winning streak snapped, and Artem Anisimov got his first hat trick, and that's cool. So there's a story there. And then this is the only other obvious story because it was a blowout and otherwise a sort of boring game because blowouts are never that interesting.
8-2. Damn.
And
There's been a few of those this year.
and I just think like I was watching it. I'm like, okay, so Calgary is not going to. If you lose the game on the score sheet, the whole old school hockey thing is, well, you're not going to lose it physically. You're going to make them remember that you played them.
If they beat you
Not
on the
gonna-
ice, you got to beat them in the parking
If they
lot.
disrespect you on the score sheet, then you got to disrespect them back.
It's like a Don Cherry saying, I'm pretty sure, or something like that. Or if you can't beat them on the ice if you can't beat them in the alley, something like that. It is a little threatening.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a little extra.
It sounds like assault.
It does, doesn't it? Not in the 70s. Not in the 70s. Broad Street Bullies. Skate to the friggin' forehead.
Listen,
Anyway.
if you're playing in a league and everybody's parents had gone to war in Europe, I can see how that mentality existed. I can see how maybe they had
a historical perspective.
they had a little bit more of a cavalier attitude towards those sorts of things because most of their parents had enlisted in the army. I mean, so maybe that's
Little Braden just grew up playing hockey in Canada, and he doesn't know about the war. He doesn't have to go in the alley and fight.
he never actually had a street fight, right?
No.
Right? But But I mean, like, think about it. People wonder why were the 70s and 80s so crazy? Because they were baby boomers. They were the kids of the generation that went to war.
I know.
And that generation that
I
went to
can't
war,
imagine.
their parents went to war in World War
I
I.
can't imagine how anyone would fight you on that point. Is the best part. Like
Somebody
it's
will.
But it's true. It's true. It's true. Get up. It's just a little bump on the head. I went to war. That must have been so hard.
Yeah, like-
to be like our parents.
What do you say to that?
Yeah.
And everyone's dad was Red Foreman.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Oh, you got picked on at school today? I went to war.
And if you didn't go to World War II, then you might have gone to Korea, you might have gone to Vietnam, you might have gone there was like a million there was another million other wars
I didn't even
afterwards.
think of that factor. I didn't
So-
even think of that.
Anyway, I don't think the fallout of this,
Freaking
the amount of Twitter back and forth on this warrants what it actually was. I think we had a slow night last night in the NHL, and people are like, well, this and this and this and this. Everyone wants to break it down. It's like, okay, so it was a fight, and it was a missed call by the refs. Other than that, it was just hockey, right?
There were definitely some people in the wrong. Like for sure in the wrong.
There always
which
is.
I guess what everyone tries to find is patient 0 or patient X.
Who do we
when
blame?
it comes to the fight? Yeah, who is to blame? I mean, I guess we can go with Witkowski.
I think so.
Yeah, it's his fault for coming back on the ice, first of all.
Yeah,
He's gonna get a
show-
suspension for that, right? That's a 10-game suspension, isn't it?
He should.
No, because he didn't come back. He didn't come from the bench, right? So it's not automatic.
His feet were no longer on the ice.
Yeah,
and I
he
think
was-
that should count.
He was well off the ice.
Yeah.
I think that should count.
I do too.
Especially with the ref trying to restrain him.
I'd give him a game because he entertained me.
Yeah. Well, like, okay, for example, David Clarkson, he was on the bench, jumps off, does nothing. But the rule is 10 games. Sorry. This guy, like, comes in and kind of starts a fight. Jesse's watching it right now. Here's how it all broke down, okay? So Kulak goes after Booth, sort of challenges him, but nothing comes of it. Nothing comes of it. Witkowski and Kulak then go at it. Now, where things took a turn, Witkowski gets the takedown on Kulak, then Witkowski slams Kulak to the ice, which is a chicken shit move. We don't have to be like, oh, it's dangerous and we got to take it out of the game, but it is a chicken shit move. I mean, if we're gonna be parental about it, what happens? He slams his head off the ice, knocks him out.
Okay,
cold.
but that didn't. Let's not go there.
Is
All
what
I
I'm
hear
saying.
is about that. I know it's dangerous. It's a dangerous game. Let's get beyond that for a little
It's
bit.
not part of the game.
Let's just get to
Now
patient zero.
that's when we get into the age-old argument: is fighting even
and I
part
will
of the game?
not even debate this anymore because I'm so tired of it. I don't care. I don't. I'm done with this
So
debate.
we'll settle on chicken shit move.
Chicken shit move for sure.
Chicken shit move. So then Kachuk taps Witkowski because he is a little shit, different from chicken shit. It's a little bit chicken shit, but it's mostly little shit.
You can have respect for little shit moves. You're a little shit.
You're a little shit.
You know what I mean?
Now, so I was listening to Hockey Central on the way in, Hockey Central at noon, and Kyprios made a few points.
What time
that
is it?
I really liked.
What time does Hockey Central at noon air?
Noon. I was late.
No. I was just making a joke of the name of the show.
Sorry, I thought you were scolding me. It's my natural instinct to be like, just admit you were wrong.
My favorite
Steve.
thing is when they rerun Hockey Central at noon on Sportsnet 1 at 3 o'clock. That's like,
Hockey Central at noon at 3 o'clock. So Kachuk taps Witkowski. Witkowski goes back on the ice. He's 100% in the wrong. First of all, spearing. He tapped him on the skate. How hard?
and that's what Shachuk does. That's what he does.
That's bravado and testosterone and ego getting out of hand. Kyprios kind of praised, or I can't remember if it was Kyprios or Blashill, because they had Jeff Blashill come on the show, but I came in halfway through the interview. So that's a huge get for them, by the way. And if the whole interview is up on the website, go to sportsnet.ca, check that out. But it was either Kyprios or Blashill was basically going, well, you know, it could have got more out of hand, but the ref told Witkowski to get back on the bench, and he did. First of all, he shouldn't have to tell him to get back on the bench. He should have never left it. Once your feet leave the ice, you're off the playing surface. You're off. You're on the bench. He came back on. When he went back off, it was not immediate. He got in a few really good swipes, and that's when things got out of hand to me. The only other thing that I disliked, but I'm willing to forgive, actually, was you know what I hate in a hockey fight? And it goes back to what Witkowski did to Kulak, the ground and pound. This isn't MMA. This isn't UFC.
Once you've knocked him over.
Yeah, and I go back to, they were honoring Wendell Clark at a Leaf game a few years ago. I don't remember what it was. And they were showing his highlight back, which of course has a lot of goals, has a lot of hits, and has a lot of fights. There's one fight where he literally has a guy on the North Stars in full mount, holding him by the jersey in one hand and wailing on him with the other. Like, that's how you kill people. Seriously.
But there's no rules to the fighting.
No, and that's an interesting thing.
Because if they did have rules for the fighting, then that would mean that they are saying that the fighting is okay. That's why there's no rules.
If there was,
Means they're condoning it.
The reason there aren't rules is because what has seriously happened yet? Like one incident. Like we can
I don't
go
know.
with long
There might be an
term.
entire generation of players suing them in a class action lawsuit
Yeah,
right
but
now.
that's not one incident, right?
Oh,
That's-
okay.
If one incident happens where a guy, you know, I don't even want to put the evil out there into the world, but if something terrible were to happen, then do you put in rules? No, you probably just get rid of the whole thing. But anyway, Mantha had Hamonic in full ground and pound, but what Mantha was, I can't remember if it was Mantha or Blashill was saying that was actually right, is Hamonic is punching up at him. If the guy on the bottom is punching up and the ref is holding you back, which, no, I'll save that. And the ref is holding you back, I don't know. I don't blame him for keeping on punching. It's not the most noble thing to do, but you're still in a fight at that point. The guy on the bottom's attacking you. And I don't blame the guy on the bottom for what's he supposed to do, just lay there. Who I blame is the ref for friggin' running in there and being Galahad. What are you going to do?
Is he supposed to let them go and just keep fighting?
If you're going to break up the fight, break up the fight.
Yeah, he's trying.
No, he's grabbing on the jersey. No, like literally wrap yourself around the player.
Yeah, don't.
Like, I don't know what the rules are for referees.
Don't be Dana White at a weigh-in and just put your hand in between.
Oh, don't cause a scene, guys.
I would love to know what the rules are.
Hey, trained fighters, please stop. Please stop. I'm going to use my right arm to stop you.
Hey, trained murderers. It's pudgy bald owner man.
I know you've only spent 25 years getting here and training for this. I'm gonna stop you with my pudgy hand. Anyway,
you know
you're
what
right.
really takes the gusto out of UFC? When Conor McGregor goes nuts and someone who's twice Conor McGregor's size picks him up like a child.
Conor McGregor's not a big guy.
No,
He
but
fights him.
don't remind me that he's only 150 pounds or whatever.
Why not?
I don't know. Like that picture of Floyd Mayweather walking between his 4 security guards really takes the gusto out of Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean?
Well, if you were fighting him in a sanctioned boxing match, he would definitely kick your ass.
Oh, he would definitely kick my ass. But I question whether or not he would kick the ass of the biggest security guard that he has. Otherwise, what's he for? I don't know. He should be able to do his job. Anyway, sorry, we're getting off track here. I don't remember where I was going. What are the rules of engagement for an official? And what is the maximum they're allowed to do?
I don't envy that job.
The right move is
What are you supposed to do?
The right move, I think, is get Mantha in a full headlock and lean all your body weight back to yank him off. The only guy who got involved was, I think, Scott Wilson on the Red Wings, who tried to stop his own teammate, which I think is right. If he goes attacking Hamonic, then that's like third man in, and then you look at a potential suspension there. You got to hold your own guy back in that situation, because he's the one on top. He's the one with the whole ground and pound situation. But in terms of like fallout from this, I don't know who gets suspended. I think Witkowski, that's it, right?
It's just funny hearing
Is that it?
I think so. Send a message that you can't come back on the ice.
Yeah. And I would say something needs to click in Hamonic and Mantha. Like, oh shit, we're no longer on the ice. We can't be fighting.
Does Tkachuk get something for the spear?
A fine.
No.
He shouldn't get anything. He shouldn't get anything.
He got anything.
He got a 5 in a game.
He'll get a fine out of formality, I bet.
That's insane.
It might even
That's
break
so
during the
stupid.
show.
There's no way he should get that.
Also, shout out my fantasy team for picking up Tkachuk and putting him in the lineup.
Oh, because penalty minutes
and
count.
getting all those
Penalty
pins.
minutes is the stupidest thing to count in a pool.
No, you need it. You can't just go all offense. Then it's too easy.
111 penalty
How
minutes.
much are they counted, though, is the problem.
Everything's even. It's 1-on-1. It's versus league. So, like, you have your...
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Sorry. I thought you were trying to say one penalty minute equals 1 point.
No. It's your
would be
total
great.
from the week.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I did a pool one year where we weighted penalty minutes too much, and I knew there was a problem when in the first round someone drafted Zenon Konopka.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh.
It's like, hey, I'm going to take Matt Martin, second overall.
So all in all, 111 penalty minutes, 5 game misconducts, the good old hockey game.
Is it a travesty? Do we need to know?
No, it's not a travesty. I don't want feign outrage. Like, who cares? It's just whatever.
The one thing I kind of want to get back to is something Kiprio said, and that was basically for a little while, we looked at incidents like that, and we said, it's a black eye on the sport, and it's a shame, and we need to get it out of the game. Now that it never happens anymore, everyone's reaction seemed to be, that was great. Old-time hockey. And when he said that, I was like, I wish I could fully shake the caveman.
I think, Steve, you like UFC.
I know, and a few people have asked me, like, how are you so, wishy-washy on fighting and hockey, and how do you like UFC? I don't have a proper answer for that. My shitty answer is UFC is fighting. Hockey
you're there
is
to
hockey
fight. Yeah.
with fighting. Yeah. If you fighting is not implied on the playing surface of hockey. It's against the rules.
Can we get to a point though where we can talk about fighting and not talk about how long it has left? Like, can we talk about this eventually one day without going, how much time does it have left in the game? It's got no place in the game.
You want an answer for that when it's finally out? It's gonna happen.
So tired of talking about that, and it's not because I don't think it shouldn't be. It's just because it's like, okay, we've been there. We know.
Well,
we know.
if you don't have the conversation, it won't ever get out of the game.
I guess my point is we've had this conversation for 5 years of doing this show. Every time we bring up fighting, that's the conversation we have to have. And I'm getting a little sick and tired of having to repeat the same thing because every time we say it, it's like, yeah, of course, obviously, safety comes first. Obviously.
No, but if you don't say it, then how...
We have said it. I've said it a million times.
You can't just stop saying it and then you don't say it ever again. Like, well,
I
that
know.
doesn't make sense.
I guess I get tired of the repetition.
My stance on this issue is noted. It's on the record.
Yeah, that is. You have to state your stance on it.
You wear a
Every
t-shirt.
damn
Ask me
time.
about my fighting stance. It is interesting. What is that? I'm tired of talking about it. You know why? I think it's the same discussion every freaking time.
That's exactly it. I hate it.
And
There's nothing creative about saying, yes, guys, I'm against fighting, but we seem to have to, and I don't know why.
Clearly going out.
Yeah. So eventually, hopefully, we don't have to have this conversation at all.
That is the silly little gradual thing. Like if you just take something out one day, like if they were to take fighting out now, there'd probably be a little bit of outrage, right? Mm-hmm. Like if they were to just tomorrow be like, it's done. But if you give it 5 years.
It does feel like they're waiting for a seminal moment, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're waiting for people to basically not fight anymore so that then they could very bravely parade in and go, there's no more fighting.
Aren't we fantastic?
Yeah, none of us fight anyway.
Yeah. From 31 Thoughts this week, Carey Price, if you take out his 2015-2016 season, has appeared in 80% of Montreal's games since 2009-2010. That's an average of 66 games a year. He's going to be 31 when his 8-year extension begins next season. Mm-hmm. Only 3 goalies since 67-68 have as many as 566 game seasons at age 31 or older. So, is there anything to this Carey Price getting? I don't want to spend too much time on it, but is there anything to it? Do you think they really do that?
You don't let Marc Bergevin make that move. You don't let Marc Bergevin make that move. Like that is a big enough financial decision and just part of the team decision that it has to come from ownership. And I am captain no meddling from ownership. I am captain that. What might have been even better for Montreal, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but what might have been even better for Montreal is if they had let Bergevin trade Subban when he wanted to trade him in the first place. Wouldn't that have reduced the outrage a little bit? But
might have.
Ownership got involved and said, nope, you're signing him.
What would he have gotten at that point? Do we know?
Who knows? Who the hell knows? Shea Weber and 2
And Ryan Suter.
first. Both of them. Yeah. Philip Forsberg.
Currently, right now, and this is number 8 on 31 Thoughts, Jason Spezza is playing 13 minutes a night, lower than any season since he became an NHL regular. Dallas wants to make it work, according to Elliot Friedman. But it is interesting that he has one more year at $7.5 million. He can be traded this summer, but he could also waive. That's a lot of money. But is there a potential chance there that, now Elliot mentions Columbus trying to find one more high-level offensive player. You know who's got the cap room?
Montreal.
And you know what Jason Spezza plays?
Center. That's the first place my head went.
Me too. Why not?
Why wouldn't Montreal go for that?
Who does Montreal have to give up?
I don't
I don't
think
think it's expensive.
I don't think his value's that high because his contract's high. I think Dallas wants to get the money off the books, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that
Carey
is
Price.
Montreal throwing Dallas a bone.
So Carey Price.
Carey
Dallas.
Price
Yeah.
and Galch. And they get Sergachev back and trade him and
Okay.
Drouin For Spezza. and a third.
Okay.
And a third.
And a
If
third.
if you throw in the third, then
Is
it's
that it?
fair.
There you go.
And a third. Don't forget that third.
Hey, and speaking of
They
Montreal,
ask for Ulis Honka, you hang up the phone.
it would just be interesting to see Spezza in Montreal. I think that makes a lot of sense. That's a good. Why not? It's a second line guy that you have for another year and a half.
What's the big deal? I mean, you got to fight for your job anyway. Why not?
Yeah. Are the Tampa Bay Lightning Steve Dangle?
Good or bad?
Well, I'm going to
I
read
could
you this
make
story,
so
and
many jokes.
then I'm going to see if you can get what I'm referencing here. Chris Johnson had an interesting story over the weekend. This is Elliot Friedman, by the way, about an arbitration case involving Jonathan Drouin in Tampa Bay. Drouin was entitled to $212,000 for a .73 points per game last season. He ended at .726.
Oh.
.73, .726. The Lightning said no to the bonus. Drouin filed grievance. Sports is generally a place where people round up, but there are very public situations where that doesn't happen.
I mean,
Are the Tampa Bay Lightning Steve Dangle? I will not give you that. I will not let you spend that dollar.
Oh, yeah. Well, no. I'm with Tampa. It says in the contract you get the very expensive dollar amount if you hit this.
No, but
They didn't hit
it
that.
depends on if the contract said if you hit it on the second or third decimal point.
Oh, it did say that.
No, it didn't. I don't know if the contract said it or not.
Well, then if it's not expressly written in the contract,
It has to be
it
that
needs to be the exact number.
Because what was the percentage?
.73, and he got a .726.
So the contract probably said 0.73, right?
Yeah, to that
But-
decimal point.
Yeah, it's the 7.3. But if you look at 7.26, it's a 7.3
Why?
because you round up. Because
Why do you round up?
Because you're going to that decimal point. So you have to get there. You can't leave it as a 3 decimal point percentage.
If you calculate it, if you show it on the calculator,
As a
and it comes up as anything less than 7, or what was it?
7.3.
0.73?
Yeah. No, but you have to get to 2 decimal places.
I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that's how they write it out.
It sounds like that was the case because of how it settled. You
Oh,
gotta
so,
finish this.
yeah, how did it settle?
Let me
Do you
pull
want
it
me
up.
to, do you want me to
Yeah,
finish
bring
it?
it up, bring it
so they in court, they finished at a 90% settlement. So Tampa said, yeah, we'll give you 90%. And
It's so
Drouin
stupid.
said, okay.
I don't know why I didn't read that far. I had it. I thought
Yeah, Johnson, he'd been working on this for a couple months, and he's like, I'm going to break the story. And then
That's the dumbest thing ever.
and then they finally settled this week, and it was settled at 90%.
You're right or you aren't. Also, what is the dollar amount? And what is 10% of that? I want to know.
so. It's 212. So it's about $21,000 that the Lightning save.
Yeah.
So are the Lightning Steve Dangle?
So the Lightning admitted they were wrong
That's
by
like
saying
a
you can
one
have 90%.
part-time employee salary.
oh, wait, dude, yeah, that might be 2 part-time employee salaries.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah.
All right, whatever.
Do you think
I feel
they
like, I feel like we just wasted time with that shitty story.
I just wonder.
I'm angry at both the Lightning and Drouin for that shitty story. Mostly the Lightning.
I wonder.
Most 100% the Lightning. I'm mad at the Lightning.
Because 90% is ridiculous, right? You might as well just say you win, right?
Yeah.
I'm mad at them for being like, you are 90% right. And Drouin being like, close enough. Like, can't someone... If you're Drouin's lawyer, don't you just go, that's a dick move. Give us the other 21 grand.
Why are you charging me an extra $1?
That's basically allowing the Lightning to save face for like a couple nights out at the bar for Drouin. Like, what is 21 grand to a player like that? That's stupid. That's dumb. I'm pissed.
I hope he takes that money and buys like a Lamborghini or something with it. That's what I would do. I would be completely irresponsible and have my
the
Lamborghini.
basic
Pretend you never had that money, so it's just free money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or invest it responsibly.
That
And
too.
RSPs are real
Okay, well he makes like $6 million. I'm sure he'll be all right.
I know. It's he has an amount of money where like who cares?
Yeah, like
Seriously, who cares?
if he lived like we do for an entire year, he would be set for life. Like
And
if
you
he
came
spent,
into
yeah.
if his
212.
expenditures were what like an average of the three of us, he would be set for the rest of his
and
life.
mortgage.
What mortgage? He doesn't have to get one.
No, yeah,
just
but
buy it.
if he's me.
Oh,
I go and mortgage.
I just
and it
rented.
still wouldn't pay.
Rent
off.
an apartment. Yeah, why would you get? Yeah, you wouldn't have a mortgage. Come on. Also, on the Lightning, Steve, you did an article for Sportsnet about Stamkos and Kucherov.
And it was good.
Talk about it.
It's really good. Well, Johnny Gaudreau sort of messed the whole article up last night. But so we've been talking about what?
Go ahead.
I was gonna continue, Jesse, and
Okay.
clarify that statement. So we've been talking about Stamkos.
I
and
wrote this great
Kucherov.
article, but God, he ruined it. Johnny Gaudreau ruined it. Fuck
So
off.
I says to the guy, I says, you can't charge me an extra $1, but then I paid him.
I don't remember if I paid him. God damn it. It's on the Steve Dangle blog at
You should have
sportsnet.ca.
lied
Go
to
read
us,
it.
man. You should have lied.
Read it. Good, I'm glad. It's a piece of shit anyway. Just like you guys. What's Jesse?
Like, you know those stories that you tell that you need to tell a little white lie? You should have told the white lie.
You know what?
That's a white lie story, right? I think everybody can agree with me on that one. That's a white lie.
No, it's much better that he told the truth. Like, we would have
then the guy-
For us.
Yeah.
Then the guy told me, you owe another $1,000. So I reached across the table and I punched him in the neck.
No, you took him
And
to
then
court
he
and
said, you get the car for free. And I said, you're goddamn right. Or my name isn't Steve Dangle.
I thought you went to court and you agreed that he was 90% right, so you gave him 90 cents.
I give him 90 cents. I just want this car.
Anyway.
That's so ridiculous. I'm not getting over that.
No, it's...
Anyways.
You know who won that? Lawyers.
Yeah.
Lawyers won.
Yes.
Lightning
100%.
lost, Duran lost, Lawyers won.
Your article.
Yeah, your article. Tell me.
So we've been talking about Stamkos and Kucherov in passing, and we just keep looking at their point total and going, gosh golly, that's good. Aren't they good? So I looked at 31 points in 18 games, which is what Stamkos has. And do you know what that is on pace for?
He's almost at 111.
141.
God.
He's on pace for 141. Kucherov, who's only 1 point behind him at 30 points in 18 games, is on pace for 136. So, what I love, what is such a huge privilege, is I get to email Sportsnet stats department, ask them any question that pops into my head, and every time I'm shocked that they have an answer. I'm stunned. Like, I don't know how they look it up, and I don't know how they look it up so fast. My question was, A, how many times have teammates finished 1 and 2 in league scoring? And 2, what were the biggest gaps between the second scoring teammate and the third place scorer in the league? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I was very careful with the way I worded it.
Yep.
So the record, it turns out, is only 29 points. I thought it'd be more than that.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, but I mean, you look at the 80s and you look like Gretzky and a line mate versus, I don't know, some guy on some other team is what I figured the record would be.
Lemieux, most likely.
Exactly. So, well, funny you should say that. So the record is Lemieux and Jágr. In 95-96, Lemieux had 161 points. Stupid. And Jágr had 149. A full 29 points ahead of third place Joe Sakic with 120. So,
Wow.
but we live in a different world now. Hockey's different and people don't score as much. So if Stamkos and Kucherov were to maintain their crazy pace, like first of all, they'd be the first players to hit 136 points or more since Lemieux and Jágr did it that year in 95-96.
120 something?
So if Gaudreau and those two would be the first players to hit at least 118 points since Sidney Crosby in 06-07 when he scored 120.
Okay.
So here's how Gaudreau comes into the situation. So he's on pace for 118, meaning the gap between him and Kucherov would be 18 points, which is the third biggest gap ever.
Wow.
But before last night, when Gaudreau had 2 points in one game, they were on pace to have, I believe, I'd have to go back and check. I think they were on pace to have the biggest gap ever, beating Lemieux and Crosby over Sakic. They're good. And if you want more details on that, go ahead and check out the article on Steve Dangle blog, sportsnet.ca. Stamkos and Kucherov.
Do you think Kucherov gets 50 and 50?
What's he at right now?
16 and 18.
See, he would have to improve on the ridiculous pace he's already on. He couldn't.
No.
Well, so you got a shout out in that article
Thank you. That was very nice of you.
because last show, when we talked about what is and isn't too early, you said what?
American Thanksgiving.
American Thanksgiving. We are 1 week to the day away from it not being too early anymore. So if Stamkos is still on pace for 140 whatever points and Kucherov's still on pace for 136, it's not too early anymore. We're at the quarter mark of the season, and these guys are on pace to score the way no player has scored in 2 decades. Over 2 decades. The only guy screwing it up is that pesky Johnny Gaudreau. Also, Jaden Schwartz, not far behind. He's on pace for over 100 right now. Braden Shen is also in the conversation, and I think Blake Wheeler somehow. 2 of those players I just mentioned are in Mrs. Dangle's pool.
Nice. Yeah, Wheeler and Scheifele have been
Oh, my God.
incredible.
No, that whole 3-headed monster on the Jets, if you got them in fantasy, congratulations.
Yeah.
You got a
See
third
also Nikolai Ehlers.
of them. It has been announced that Russia could be barred from the Winter Olympics in 2018.
Who's allowed to go?
After World
They should be.
Anti-Doping Agency has declined to lift the suspension of Moscow's national anti-doping body. Apparently, Russia is non-compliant over doping. So they are not...
Is Russia being difficult about something?
I do find it funny that they're going into an election right now, which is why Ovechkin and Malkin and all those guys have put the Team Putin on their Instagram. Do find it funny that going into an election, that would be a thing. It feels like it's like, oh, that's a good distraction technique.
An election.
Let's get banned from the Olympics.
an election.
So it's the world against us, galvanizes people. Yeah, election, quote unquote election. We know who's going to win. We know.
So
Is there an opposition party?
I don't know. I assume they're dead. Like it's
Like,
No.
is anybody in the Russian Duma an independent? Like, I wonder, like, is it...
so okay. I wanna talk about something that I very briefly. Okay.
Yeah.
Very briefly. I got like 2 sentences on it. So Ovechkin posted that Team Putin thing, and I think he was made available to the media. I don't remember. Malkin posted a Team Putin thing.
I'm counting your sentences.
Oh shit! I'm gonna go a little over 2. Malkin did his Team Putin thing, and a few people got indignant that he wouldn't answer questions on it. What do you expect them to do?
Yep, I was wrong. Like, what are they going to say?
On second thought, you're right. Fuck Putin. Also, I'm gonna call every person I've ever known in Russia and make sure they're okay. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to criticize that guy whose detractors magically appear dead.
Yeah.
Not just in Russia. They appear dead all over the world.
Yeah, look up Sergei Majinsky, I think it was.
Oh, look up a bunch of people. But you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to attack him on Instagram. And then he'll know. So I'm not totally letting them off the hook. It's totally possible that Ovechkin supports him. It's totally possible Malkin supports him. However, if they don't, we're likely to never know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because they're doing the right thing for their lives.
You're taking our democracy, our freedom of speech, our culture, and putting it on them. And you have to remember, they're from the other side of the world that has quite literally never had it. Like my grandfather was fluent in Russian and used to go over and help
He's from
him.
Russia, wasn't he?
His father was.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So, and technically Lithuania, but it was part of the Tsarist Russia at that time.
Gotcha.
So he used to go over to Russia and help make power plants. My grandfather was a chemical engineer and was a master several times. He was a genius. None of that
Not the
transferred.
power plants you think of, like actual plants.
Plants.
That had a lot of strength.
Protein
and
power
power
plants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They lifted weights.
It was big for Vega.
Instead of leaves, they grew biceps.
Yeah. you know, like Piccolo was a plant?
Piccolo was a plant, by the way.
That's the kind of plants he built
That's
in Russia.
right. So
From the planet
he would
Namek.
go build power plants, and he said,
So your grandfather was from Namek. I gotcha.
yes.
Okay.
And this was when communist Russia was in the 80s becoming more open, a little bit like what China is now, although I think China's doing a better job. And the way he described it to me was this. He said they don't understand in the same way that we understand what it is that they have and what it is that we have. They don't understand. Most of them have never left the country. Most of them have never grown up any other way, and they've been told that capitalism and democracy and all these things are evil. So they've always had it this way, so they're kind of used to living in it. And he said it doesn't mean that there aren't dissenters, but he said you have to understand perspective.
Yeah.
And it is very different there than it is here. And you can't just take your perspective, because I was being, a snotty teenager and going, well, this and this and this and this. He said, no, you can't do that. You have to look at it going, okay, what's their history here? They had a democratic revolution. How did that end up? Well, the communists took over. Right? And he said, so then it was went from totalitarian to totalitarian, czarist to communist.
It's not just things like that. And maybe we can leave it with this. So, I was very close friends with Andrei Osachenko when we were doing the KHL stuff. We still talk. And there was one conversation that really stuck with me. So I was explaining to him my sister, who, as some of you know, has cerebral palsy and autism and a bunch of other things. And I think he even met her. And he was I don't know, I was explaining these things and he didn't really say much. Andre was rarely at a loss for words. He was just kind of pensive. He was just thinking. And then I can't remember if we were talking or he messaged me like the next day. He goes, I don't know, I'm fascinated by your sister because like we just don't have people like her in Russia. For a sec, I was like, what? Like, of course you do. Of course you do. No, and then I realized like, oh, they're either institutionalized or don't survive. Like that is the difference. So it's sorry to get so dark, everybody. I preferred talking about Dragon Ball Z too. But it's not always just like, a difference of views on how money is handled or a difference of views politically or on freedom or democracy
It's different
or
on
whatever.
everything. Literally everything.
So many things. It's like,
we can't begin to relate to that experience, I don't think.
We explore outer space, and I think we should, and I'm fascinated by all of that, but we don't understand half of what's under the frigging sun. Here, on our own
under
planet.
the atmosphere.
Yeah, I kind of think about it how, like, when somebody gets mad at you or somebody, like, snaps, sometimes it has nothing to do with that interaction, has everything to do with how they, like, spent their morning. Like, maybe they just got into a big fight with somebody before you, and they come to you, and then they snap. It's the underlying issue. This person doesn't understand what's happening in North America because they grew up in Russia, where everything's completely different.
I'd love everybody to be like,
Russia.
but I'd like everybody to be like Alexander McGillney in the early 90s saying, screw Russia, screw communism, screw it all. Like, he was, Fatistov comes over here and he's giving half of the money he makes to the Russian government. McGillney's like, no, F you, I'm keeping it all and screw you and I'm never leaving and I love it here. We like that. We thrive on that bravado, like, screw the man. However, you got to think that there might be some
There's
issues.
consequences.
There is consequences to
And
that.
like,
listen,
I'll have a moment of self-awareness. Like I got indignant about the whole Poppy thing before, and we had some Irish listeners reach out like, you have to understand why we are not down with that.
Yeah. And that made sense. It was like, okay, now I understand.
Well, and then I tried to look at it from their perspective, and I was like, yeah, okay, I get it.
Fair enough.
I get it.
Yeah, anyway, we're not letting them off the hook. It's just kind of like, are you surprised?
Yeah.
Stop being surprised.
If they genuinely support him, then they genuinely support him. They should be criticized for it. If they don't, we'll probably never know.
In my view, as good as the Coyotes were last season, that's how as bad they've been now.
I feel terrible.
Well, they weren't even good last season.
No, that's what I mean. That's why it makes sense.
But it was okay.
No.
It was a little bit okay.
No. The Coyotes have become
They
the
were
first.
rebuilding. Remember when they were the hot team with all these prospects and
Clayton Keller.
Clayton Keller
Who's
should be
still
Can I
having
just
an
read
enormous
this? Can I
story.
read this fucking tweet here, guys?
Go
For
ahead and
God's
read this
sakes,
fucking
let me
tweet.
read this tweet.
God.
And then we can get into Clayton Keller. Coyotes become the first NHL team in history without a regulation win through their first 20 games.
And so
And
what
Clayton
that
Keller.
means,
So
yes.
Clayton.
Well, so that's a 3-period win.
Yes.
I gotta think, like, are they awarded with a regulation win in the NHL standings? They should be. They won a game in overtime.
They've got 2.
That counts as a regulation win. Well, and a shootout win.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So they have
overtime
2
and a
wins.
shootout.
One's overtime, one's shootout, but they don't have a 3-period win on the season in 20 games. That's unbelievable. Now, one thing I mentioned in a recent video is, so when the Leafs went on their little break, they had played the most games in the entire league. They had played 19 games, and they were tied with 2 teams. One was Pittsburgh, they still had a winning record. They were still one of the league's better teams, but they struggled compared to their standards, and they played a lot of back-to-backs. The other team was Arizona. So the Leafs came out on the right side of it. The Penguins came out on the right side of it. Arizona did not. Very did not.
You're understating that, man. Like,
Well, and now they play 20 games. Like, I think it should be a bigger story that, yes, not only have they not had a regulation win yet, but they've already played 20 games. How much blame do we put on that? Like, were they already the league's worst team, and then they also got burdened with this?
I don't think we expected them to be the league's worst team.
No, you're right. There's
Like,
no excuse.
They went out.
I picked them as a surprise team.
They upgraded at defense. Their top 4 should be great.
They upgraded pretty much everywhere.
Center, goalie.
Made a trade for a center. They made a trade for a goalie.
Same trade from
Yep,
New York.
You're right. And
And got a good defenseman out of Chicago.
At that defense. How is that the worst defense in the league? How is that defense on the worst team in the league?
So is this, to me, this is a head coach thing. They got a new head coach. It's time for him to go.
When?
But John, I feel like if anybody's going to go first, it's going to be John Chayka.
Now, yeah, here's the problem. So I'm a believer in John Chayka, but the way I've talked about Mark Bergevin, so you look at certain decisions and how they get made, like what equity has Chayka built up with here's why you should keep me? Okay, you're going to fire this coach because he's not working out. Who the hell brought him in the first place? It's you, homie. So he might get the opportunity to fire Rick Tocchet, but he might be going next.
And it's...
I agree with so many of the moves he's made, too.
Me too.
I don't get why this team's so bad. What? That's not true. I do get it.
What do you get? What is it?
He's barely got an opportunity to be evaluated on one of his biggest moves. Derek Stepan has been one of their better offensive players. Ranta has been out. Their goaltending is abysmal. Like, we keep talking about the Coyotes. We keep talking about the Golden Knights, the other desert team. But the Coyotes' goaltending has been abysmal, terrible, and they have so many injuries too. And they're trying to fix it, but they're also victims of this weird little goalie market. They've already made two moves. They shipped out Louis Domingue and brought in Michael Layton, and they brought in Scott Wedgwood, which is essentially deck chairs on the Titanic. Like, Wedgwood, I think, is a worthwhile investment. He might turn out to be something. Layton can maybe be a somewhat stopgap, but, like, no problems get solved until Ranta comes back. And even then, you get a guy who wasn't even a surefire number one in the first place, coming off of injury on the league's worst team, trying to save the whole damn season. Boy, I don't know how Chayka survives that.
It's a shame, too, because it doesn't feel like he'll have had enough time to get it done.
What is lazier in today's NHL than saying John Chayka tried to build a team on a spreadsheet?
Who said that?
Everybody.
Oh, man. Well...
Like, why, like, can you, okay, in order for me to take your opinion seriously, you need to at least give credit to the teams that used analytics and it worked, which is almost everybody. So I can't even listen to you if you're like, well, he tried to do this and he just, shut up.
It's easy to make broad sweeping statements on Twitter and get a reaction, and that's the only reason anybody would tweet that. I don't think anybody with a brain is still like, no analytics at all, please. Because if you were, then you're like, well, let's not count goals and assists and points because those are analytics too.
Not do it. Can you look up the Coyotes goalie statistics? I feel like we did this several weeks ago when I think they were less than 10 games in. It got worse. Mm-hmm. They had this one guy who I'd never even heard of, and he was just getting shelled. Like, Maxim Lagacé, I gotta say, like, even though he hasn't been that great, he's been giving it a shot. No, see, this only has the two goalies who are active right now.
Oh, hit up.
So Ranta's played more games than I thought. He must have come back from injury then.
Also, I'm using the washroom.
Oh, okay.
All right, good luck.
Good luck. So Ranta's started 9 games, played in 9 games. He's 1-5. Lost 2 games in overtime with a save percentage of .905. Boy, that's just no good. That is no bueno. And Wedgwood is 1-1 with a .913 save percentage. I think he's the only guy with an even somewhat respectable thing here. Adam, can you waste time until I find this?
Sure. I also want to throw this out there. The Coyotes have been accused of spying on staff and unfairly firing employees because apparently they're trying to unionize. And the U.S. National Labor Board has actually launched 2 investigations into the franchise since 2016 in October. It's been like the last year of this. And I guess you know, it's the Coyotes have denied all the allegations, and there is a hearing before a labor board judge on January 9th. And the Coyotes General Counsel, who is their lawyer, said that we have worked hard to create an excellent workplace culture for more than 100 employees. We're proud of that culture, which is based on respect and fair treatment for all employees. Any and all allegations to the contrary are not true. This is interesting. The Coyotes reportedly reached a settlement earlier this year with an employee, causing one labor case to be withdrawn. The team was accused of the following in a charge document charge document that has since settled the case. So,
I found the stat.
basically,
Sorry.
well, I guess there was the employer, the Coyotes in this case, had overly broad and discriminatory rules, including but not limited to overly broad and discriminatory rules in its employee handbook and severance agreement. So people are a little bit upset about the fact that apparently they're under surveillance, so this is a mess. So not only on the ice are they a mess, but off the ice they're getting charged with spying on their employees and unfairly firing people.
So
Whether or not that's true, I don't know.
if you're John Chayka, is it good news that story's out there? A little bit of distraction,
Maybe.
People are mad at the Coyotes
you run
for
the operation.
No, I know. Oh yeah, wait, is he responsible for it?
No. That's like a president thing.
I don't know.
No,
Well,
general manager. No. General manager is general manager of the hockey team.
This is a ticket sales guy.
Yeah.
you're saying, though.
So okay, sorry to get back to the stats there, and we'll get back to that story. Clayton Keller has 17 points, 11 goals in 20 games. That is bloody fantastic.
Before the
For a
season, when I
rookie.
tweeted out, I need some fantasy sleeper picks, Clayton Keller was on the list. He was like probably the second most said guy to pick up, and everybody was right.
Clayton Calder. But now I'm looking. Their second leading scorer is Ekman Larson with 11 points. Christian Dvorak, oh my God, with 10 points. Max Domi with 10 points. Alex Goligoski with 9. Jason Demers with 8. So out of their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 top 6 scorers, 3 are defensemen. And the other 3 are like under 22. Boy, that's a mess. That is a mess. So, sorry, to get back to the goalies there. Antti Raanta has played the most out of all of them. I did not know that. So he must have come back or something. So maybe they're in the middle of him trying to come back off injury and trying to establish himself as the number one. Yeah, well. Okay, so their worst goalie was Louis Domingue. In 7 games, he has an 8.56. Then there's Aiden Hill, who I think is like their 3rd or 4th goalie. He was an 8.80 in 3 games. Raanta has been a 9.05 goalie in 9 games, which is just not good enough. And Scott Wedgwood is their best with a 9.13 through 4 games. Like, you are relatively okay with your backup being a 9.13 goalie. You know what I mean?
I have a question.
Oof. Yes.
Do the Arizona Coyotes make the playoffs before they are a franchise again? Like, do they move first or do they make the playoffs first?
I can't, like, they haven't moved yet. Like, I just.
With all they faced, it's surprising. Yeah.
Like, I think we're past that. Like,
Yeah.
there's what? Oh, now it's a disaster.
They're still on a year-by-year lease in their current agreement.
It seems
They
like
are-
treading water's their thing, man.
Gary Bettman and the NHL are stepping on that square peg with both feet until it fits through that round hole. They are just shoving the Coyotes deep into the bedrock of Arizona. They don't want them to ever leave.
So they make the playoffs before they leave.
The Islanders will leave Brooklyn before the Coyotes leave Arizona.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
Totally agree with
That's
that.
it. I completely disagree.
Canada will lose a Canadian team before, seriously, before Arizona
Hell yeah.
loses
That I
their
can get
NHL
behind.
team.
That you can count on.
No.
Now, question. What do you think about the NHL in Houston? Quick hit.
Speaking of which,
Arizona's going to look great in Houston.
It will look good.
now that is interesting. If you have an opportunity to move the Coyotes to
Houston,
another southern
which is a
market,
By the way, the 7th biggest city, I think, in the States.
holy smokes, really?
It's enormous. It's bigger than Dallas.
But how
I think
enormous
Dallas
is
Fort
hockey?
Worth.
Doesn't matter.
I think it would do well there. I think it would. I mean, you could have said the same thing about Dallas, and they did great.
A lot of expats I've come to find.
It's right on the border with Mexico too. Like it is. It's as south as pretty
it?
much you can get. Yeah,
How as south is it?
it's very as south.
I'm
I don't know.
not good at my American
Baseball and basketball
geography.
do well there. I mean, there's summer sports, obviously, but I think it would be kind of cool to see hockey there, and I think it could work. There's enough people.
I'd
There's
rather
for sure
it be
enough
an
people.
expansion team.
I would rather you put the expansion team in Seattle and then you move Coyotes to Houston if you want a team in
See,
Houston.
that makes some sense. Like Vegas as your new desert success, that probably fulfills their desires in that region for TV purposes. And then if you were to get a team in Seattle too, yeah, that'd be good. All right, I changed my mind. Arizona's going to leave. No, I'm kidding. I will stand by that. Like, they haven't left yet.
All right.
There's like, I just can't imagine them leaving.
Quick question for you before we get to the press conference. And there's actually just a couple things. First off, quick question. Who leads the league in saves total? So total saves.
Jonathan Quick.
Jonathan Quick. Jesse.
I'll say Devin Dubnyk.
The answer is Frederick Anderson.
Wow.
475 saves he's made.
He's played too many games. Okay, so the Leafs, when they had their little break, were leading the league in games played. Mm-hmm. He'd played in all but 3 of them. Mm-hmm. That's too many, man.
So another quick question. Who leads the league in total shots against? Goalie-wise.
I assume it's Freddie then.
Freddie.
Correct. 527. If this continues, I did a little math this morning. We're going into game 20 tonight. This is ish. I'm not going to give you an exact
Austin.
Number.
We haven't even talked about
Yeah, no Austin. But, you know.
It is what it is.
2,100 shots plus is what he's looking at if things continue the way they are.
That's like a Brodeur-esque amount of shots.
I would like to know what the actual record is, though.
Oh, it's got to be so much more than that.
Yeah, because the 80s, right?
Oh, it's got to be like 3,000. It's just got to be.
Total shots should be counted more.
Just type in,
Just
like,
in general.
what is the record for most shots against?
Like, I know we go about averages, but I feel like total shots is like, it's interesting. It's an interesting stat.
Boy, there was an interesting one I saw today out of Sen's Twitter. Like, Mark Stone, even if he regresses, he's always been a good shooter. He's on pace to have like a 40-goal season. Scoring's up, man. Scoring is up. This will be an interesting year to look at once it's all said and done for my era-adjusted stuff. Mm-hmm. This might be the first year in a long time where numbers are adjusted down.
You wanted shots against in a single season?
Yes, please.
The same goaltender is in first and second place. He is an active goaltender, so this happened fairly recently.
I think I know who it is.
He is an active goaltender. He's I'm not going to give him more hints.
I know it.
I don't think it's quick.
It's Roberto Luongo.
Oh.
Roberto Luongo.
I was about to say Henrik Lundqvist.
Do you know
What's
what
the
seasons?
record? Would have been his Florida go-around the first time.
Yeah, before he was traded to Vancouver.
05-06, he faced 2,488 shots.
Wow.
03-04, he faced 2,475 shots.
Wow. And those were both with the Panthers.
Yeah. 05-06,
Wow.
03-04. Yeah.
Wow.
That would be Panthers.
Wow.
Anyways, there you go.
So, Freddie, even if this maintains, which I don't think it will, I think the Leafs will tighten up a little bit defensively and they'll probably ease up on his workload a little bit. It's still going to be like 300 some odd shots off of the record.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, a couple quick things before we get to the press conference. First off, we want to tell you again about the Panago Pizza # Road to the Cup hockey combo. 2 medium pizzas, a 10-pack of fire-grilled wings, and an order of cheesy bread. It's not bread.
Face.
It's cheesy. It's bread that drops puns, you might say.
Right? And that makes it more appealing somehow.
So you guys can play.
Actually creative.
Thank you, Jesse. Your pizza can be meat or chicken or veggie, and you can pick up from all the wings flavors. It's basically the whole point is we want you to order Panago Pizza and watch the game.
Because you deserve it.
Yeah, because we're on the road to the cup.
Your pictures of your Panago
Yeah, if you do
pizza?
it, please do. And yeah, I would love to see that. Prices start at about $43, but can vary on your based on your location. So it's not bad. Think about it. If you, me, and Steve, Jesse, got together this weekend, which I think we are on Saturday, we're going to pretend Steve's not here. We're going to Steve's house, by the way.
You're throwing a lot at me.
Yeah, and me.
We could each throw in a 20, and we would be well over. It would be like $15 each. It's pretty good. That's pretty sweet.
Math. Here's the way I look at it, though. I'm the host, so you guys split it. That's how I look at it.
I think as the host, you pay for it all.
Right.
You are hosting.
Well, I mean, you guys
Jesse
have to
makes-
come all the way out to Oshawa. First of all, there should be a tax on that alone.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, like, you're spending probably 2 tanks of gas.
Yeah. So you pay for our pizza.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like, the roads aren't even paved out there. So what about tire damage and stuff like that?
You're right. And what about wolf insurance?
Right? Couple things I want to read from our Reddit page because our Reddit page was amazing. After last episode, we've had 53 comments so far on heinous sports injuries.
I read a couple.
I'm going to read a couple.
Oh. Okay, hey. Couple people asked for a warning. Here's your warning. There. I don't know, because we got gross last
So me
show.
setting it up wasn't the warning?
People need to be hammered on the head. I'm
warn
sorry
me.
that I had all the right intentions in the world and fucked up anyway. I'm sorry. The story of my life just happened again.
Had the option. This is from Lost Loyalty, who's clearly not loyal. Had the option of going to the school dance or hockey practice in the 9th grade. Since I was afraid to talk to girls, I decided to go to practice. Our coach couldn't make it that night, so my dad ran the practice and decided the team needed to run through some hitting drills. First run, though, I was distracted by something, probably girls because I was 14, and got absolutely leveled by my teammate. I looked down at my arm, and it was literally bent in half. And shortly after,
That's your elbow.
And shortly after, I took a 45-minute ambulance ride into the city to go to the hospital, broken in 3 places, and I had nerve damage for many years to follow. Nerve damage is crazy. Like, you can't feel stuff. You can't. Yeah.
Thank God I haven't had that. Holy shit.
I should have listened to Don Cherry and kept my head up. Also, asking girls to the dance didn't seem so scary after that. Sometimes you got to learn your lesson the hard way.
Yeah, well, you probably asked a bunch of them to sign your cast.
The theory. What you should have looked at it is like this. Okay, you go to the school dance and you ask somebody to dance. Guy or girl, the worst they can say is no. That's when my fear goes away. It's like, oh yeah, it's the worst they can do.
I wish you would talk to me in grade 6. My first ever dance, I didn't ask anyone to dance. I was too scared.
That's okay, man. But then you realized
Thanks, Dad.
you figured it out. Hockey, the worst thing that can happen to you is heinous injury, broken in 3 places, nerve damage for years to come. So you got to take the lesser of 2 evils on that one, I think.
I didn't read that one. That's gross.
I got another one.
Do you have the
rugby?
The war vet?
No, I don't have that one. Hang on, I'll find him.
Oh.
Here's a good one. Archduke of Squirrels. Ruptured my left testicle playing rugby in high school. Tackled a guy.
I was actually paralyzed for a minute there. I couldn't talk.
Tackled a guy. Got stepped on when the ruck formed over top. Played another few minutes before asking for a sub. Went to the ER where they said it would be fine after a bit. It later swelled up to the size of my fist, and I had surgery to fix it a week later.
Stop the ride! Oh!
This is my favorite line. He goes out with a bang on this story.
How could he possibly?
It gets better. It gets better. Still a little lumpy, but I'm told it's functional. What a great line. Still a little lumpy. He's got cleat marks in his testicle. That's insane.
So the guy who stepped on him.
Yeah. I don't want to. I don't want to blow it all up today. So maybe we'll read a few more next episode. But damn, right?
Yeah, we couldn't possibly. I was like, hey, what about this one? No, we can't read that one because
we've just topped it.
Wow. Was not ready for that. Hey, you ever play NHL as be a GM mode?
Yeah. It's my favorite.
Sometimes players are out for a very long time. What are some of the injuries you've seen your players get?
In NHL 2000, Alex Selivanov had a sports hernia and he was out 3 to 4 months.
Wow.
Because he had div. Yeah. He was my 4th line right winger.
I saw a player, I swear to God, and I wish I knew how to screen cap back then. In NHL 2001, they were sidelined with a ruptured testicle.
No.
I swear to God. I swear.
We gotta look that up.
What smartass wrote that into the game?
Was it EA?
Yeah.
We should talk.
I think it was NHL 2001.
Talk to Rammer.
Well,
Sean Ramjet. No, but he'd be able to go back.
Pre-Rammer?
He would be. Yeah, of course it is. But he would be able to go back and see if that's actually truly the case.
I swear.
I'm sure Rammer could find it.
Well, here's how I would justify it if I was them. It's an injury that has been suffered on an NHL playing service.
I don't think you have to justify it. Why wouldn't you justify it?
No, but like, why'd you have to put the... Well, happened to my career.
It's supposed to be realistic. Okay.
Oh my dear God.
Lastly, before the press conference, one quick question for all the SDP listeners. Somebody messaged me the other day and say, hey, how come you're not on this app? If there's any platforms or apps that we're not yet on, I know about Spotify. I don't think it's available in Canada yet for
Spotify's more
podcasting.
complicated, yeah.
I got your ruptured testicle answer. In NHL 2001, this is a wiki article. This is a walkthrough / frequently asked questions article from 2001.
Wow.
On IGN.
Oh my God.
Someone listed all of the possible injuries in the game. And one of them, let me just find it where it is. One of them is 0 to 1 weeks. You can be out with a ruptured testicle.
0 to 1 weeks, my ass.
I rupture a testicle, I might retire.
0 to 1 lifetimes. Oh, yeah. How much do you like hockey?
You can also
Man,
be
I don't
out-
know if I like anything that much.
You can also be out with a scrotal contusion for 0 to 1 weeks.
Goddamn!
That sounds awful.
So yeah, you did not make that up. That happened in your game in NHL 2001.
And I remember seeing it, and I was home alone, and I remember I just wanted to be like, why is no one here to share this experience with me?
Jesse, you have mad research skills, by the way. That was
Shout out
quick.
Ronan Murphy. Ronan. Their username was Alaska Fox, and they created this on April 14th, 2001. Shout out. Hopefully you're doing something cool with your life.
Imagine how long it would have taken to create that back then. Like,
Oh my God.
a document that
Sorry,
size?
just typing into a Word document.
No, but I'm just
text
talking.
document.
But like, you know, probably had to dial up the internet.
yeah,
You know what I
the
mean?
whole-
Wait for it to
Yeah.
load. Find a server. Like, it's not like GoDaddy existed, right?
How many times did he try to post that when someone answered the phone?
Nobody fucking call me.
Mom! I'm writing about
That was
total
painful.
contusions on NHL 2001.
Yes.
Oh, Nolan's on the cover.
All right. If there's any platforms you think we should be on, let's start a thread on Reddit. If there's any platforms you think we should be on, that means apps and that sort of thing that we're not currently on. If you have any suggestions, let us know because we want to be as available as possible. And I'm not sure what, like I use the podcast app. And I'm an Apple user. So if you have an Apple user, you normally use the podcast app. It's just the one that you use. But I know there's a bunch of Android stuff out there that, Android's, wide open. So let us know what we should be on that we're not currently on so we can be available to you.
And we can't be on Spotify, so don't ask.
What's that?
We can't be on Spotify.
Why is
So
that?
don't ask. They have like their partner program. We're not part of that.
Oh, wait a second. So
Can we,
do we have to pay to be on that?
It's just not open to.
Can we become that?
Nah.
No?
Nah.
I feel like there's more to this.
There'd probably be we'd probably make 0.001 cents a month off of Spotify.
Yes.
Like, I think, what is it? Pharrell had to get Happy streamed 1 billion times before he made $100,000 or something like that. So,
Oh my God.
it would be like partner program, as in Spotify takes all your listens and pays
We're
you
not
nothing.
doing it. We're just doing it to have it available.
Yeah.
But they won't let it be available.
I don't know how this works. Jesse seems that he
We're
has
not.
explored
We're
this.
not Mark Maron. We don't have the access.
Oh, so they have to want you.
Yeah, we don't have the access. We don't. It's only like This American Life, Radio Lab, Mark Maron. It's like the podcast of Bill Simmons is on there. It's like you don't just get on Spotify.
We are former Best Sports Podcast nominee for 2015 in the world at the Podcast Awards in Vegas, hosted by Chris Jericho. I believe that we are good enough to be on Spotify.
We were number 1 on iTunes for 4 days once
Yeah,
and never again.
because iTunes doesn't rate it based on your
Because
listens.
our algorithm shitty, except for that
So-
one time we were first, and then that was when it was good.
Anyway, so that's that. No Spotify, I guess.
No Spotify.
It's okay.
But other stuff.
One day they'll
Let
come to
know.
us. Press conference. Let's do it.
We got 2 for Adam.
I have to go to the bathroom so badly, but I'm not doing it because Justin Fisher told me I get up to go to the bathroom too much during this show.
I went 2 episodes in a row. You can.
No,
can
no, I
pause.
can't do it.
It's a matter of pride.
Yes.
Should we just keep dragging?
No!
Dragging it out. No, we got to get going for the show here. We got a radio show to do.
Yeah,
Just takes a long
No, I agree with
time.
Adam.
All right, Adam. Did you interview Jonathan Taves recently?
Yes. Yes.
How was that?
He was really nice guy.
Somebody
He
on
was-
the Justin Touch 23.
I put it on my Instagram. I think you guys know that. I was at BT.
Oh, that was like
it was in
a couple
August.
months ago.
Yeah, it was in August.
I
yeah.
thought it was like recently.
Well, yeah, 4 months ago now. I guess it was right before the season started. Really nice dude. It was for Canadian Tire Jumpstart, which is, hockey equipment's expensive, so he kind of helps that. And Jumpstart is, getting kids equipment that, maybe wouldn't be able to afford it. So, he was super cool. We talked a little bit of training and that sort of thing, and nice guy.
You ask him how many times he scored 30 goals?
No, I didn't ask.
I should have.
I did
All
not.
right. Second question. Can Adam and Jesse apologize to Steve for being wrong about the Leafs tying the game in the 59th minute? Steve said 60th, and he was right. The first minute of the game is from 0 to 59. And the second minute is 1 to 2:59.
Jesse, look up the box score before
Carry
we apologize.
that on,
This
and the
was 1 minute
60th minute is from 59 to 59:59.
Oh,
Leafs
see,
tied
it
it
happened with
exactly.
1 minute to go.
Burke, actually,
Oh,
it happened at 101.
So they rolled it back. So it happened in the 59th minute?
So we don't need to apologize. It happened
Wait, when did it happen?
had to happen at 101.
What is one?
With 101 left in the
Yeah.
game.
Oh, 101 left. Oh, okay.
So-
So it happened at 58.
So we were
So it would've
intentionally right. Sorry, unintentionally right.
So we were right. No, we meant
intentionally,
it.
we
We
meant
know what
it.
we were talking about.
They don't ask how, they ask how many. You guys got it.
Steve,
Damn it.
you were wrong.
What else is new, Jesse? What else is new?
Also, people tweeted me about who was it? Beltre, who had
67 or 69?
The career war.
Yeah, career war.
First of all,
Career war is
career
insane.
war is dumb. It's not a thing.
I
Get
just think
add
it's
up-
funny how you're putting an asterisk on my rightness.
You are correct in an incorrect stat. You can't add together somebody's career war and make it a stat.
I would
because
love
it
to
doesn't
know-
apply over the course of a career. War is your wins above replacement.
I want to know what shape your goalposts are on the hockey net that you have.
You know what?
Are they all googly line, Mary
we're
on
playing
birthday to you?
baseball, and in baseball, every playing field is a different size.
There, we found it.
Also, I would like to know what Patrick Waugh's career save percentage added on top of each other is. It's probably over 1,000.
That's not how stats work. Let's just add
very
all-
impressive.
It's not how wins above replacement is an averaging stat. Am I wrong?
Yes.
You don't add averages. That's not what the point is. What's his career average war? That's what I'm interested in.
That's a measurement. Like Babe Ruth, I looked up career war after everybody said Babe Ruth's career war is 161. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything.
It means you win an entire season every
It
time
means
he's
he's
on.
almost 3 Adrian Beltres.
What the fuck?
That's what it means. It also means I was right and you were wrong. I was
Okay.
right.
Lastly,
69.
third question, final question. This was an entire thread. It wasn't even a question. It was, I love you, Adam, but.
No, I read this. He was they're very,
I will
very
read it,
respectful.
and then you can respond.
Totally.
Does it drive anyone else nuts every time he brings up how you could replace JVR's 30 to 40 goals with 2 other players easily? It's not easy to get 20 goals out of 2 assumingly young players. The math doesn't add up because 2 guys can't play in JVR's 1 spot. So you're taking out JVR and taking out someone else, which means you're likely taking someone else's goals out of the lineup. So unless it's Matt Martin, which we know won't happen, you'll have to replace the sum of the goals from JVR plus another player, making Adam's theory of how easy it is to replace JVR super weak. But that's not what you really meant.
I'll add on to
That's
that.
not what I meant. No,
I'll add on
but
to that.
explain.
What's your problem?
also, you know what? I have to
Also,
say,
dipshit.
Yeah.
first off, I have learned that
Add dipshit.
ignore everything that someone says before the word "but."
Dipshit's so underused.
I know.
No, I'm kidding. Honestly, normally on Reddit, people are just shitheads. That was really well.
Yeah.
At least, if you want to disagree, at least be respectful, and I really
Alright,
appreciate
if there's
it.
like a genuine misunderstanding.
I think no. I think
He also called you a gem. And said Excel.
I listen. I get that, and I totally
Jim of a dipshit.
I welcome that. I think that when you look at, I think my point. There's several points to it, but the first one is don't totally overrate this guy. JVR is good. He's a very good hockey player.
Also, where did we get 40 from?
yeah, it's
Because
30.
it wasn't reality.
Because he's never scored
No.
40.
But he's on pace right now for 40 goals. I know,
Maybe.
but I'm just saying.
Maybe.
What's Matt Martin on pace for? Like 10
I think
assists?
career highs in everything, man.
Like, yeah, let's not.
Yeah.
Let's not do on
Listen,
base
and
force.
it's. I'm not saying
Yeah,
that you
but
can
Stamkos
replace.
and Kucherov, though, that's Stam. That's fine. That one's fine. Give
I'm
it a
trying
week.
to get through something.
Sorry. I know I should let him because my kidneys are about to fail.
No, I listen. I'm not saying that you can replace James Van Riemsdyk. I'm saying that there are ways to replace his production in the lineup. Are you going to replace what he brings? I already said no. You can't. There is nobody in the league. And somebody disputed me on this. I'm like, there's nobody in the league that does what JVR does. What are you talking about? Kadri and Matthews also do what JVR does. No, they absolutely do not.
No.
They do completely
I saw
different
that.
things.
Yeah, someone said Matthews based on because he's big. Which
No.
I have never once looked at Matthews and been like, that's JVR.
Are you going to put Matthews in front of the net and just sit there to tip pucks in? No. Austin Matthews is going to drive the play. JVR sits in front of the net, is a pain in the ass, tips pucks, bats pucks, gets the garbage, ugly goals. As I said last episode, he's not a guy that sweeps in off the wing and fires one home.
The only one I saw that was interesting about, because we were talking about who is the AHL version of who, someone pointed out that someone with the Marlies who does what JVR does is Kirby Reichel.
Oh, there you go.
That's sort of neat.
Okay, interesting.
I also don't think he's going to get 30 or even 40 goals in the NHL. Never know.
But the point is here, I think, is that the production, if you're talking about total goals in a season,
I won't let Justin win!
and I will never have an opinion because I can't. I'm sorry. I can't get through one.
Say it. Please,
Point
for the
is,
love of
if
God,
your
say
goal
it.
is to get to 250 goals, let's say that's and you subtract JVR's 30 goals, you can still get to 250 goals with the players they have. Mm-hmm. That's my point. End of story.
Great. And thank you for listeing. What a great show we had
Thank
today.
you for wearing your free MLB The Show sweater.
Yep. Yep.
Did you just notice that?
No, I saw what you
Yeah, I was like, he definitely didn't pay for that one.
Nope. I like it though.
We love you guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.